why our weather is going to stay active. Your forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas starts right now.
This is Meteo Mundo.
Hi friends, Rusty back here with you at Meteo Mundo. Great to see you on this Friday afternoon. Coming up in this video, we've got to talk about some very heavy rainfall in portions of the area, others that are drying out and getting downright hot again, more tropical waves, and the latest on the spin in the Western Caribbean. As we get started, you have a specific question about the forecast, or you just want to let me know where you're viewing from and what the weather's been like. Always love to hear from you guys. Drop it in the comments section below while you're down there. Thank you so much for hitting the like button and helping to support me here at Meteo Mundo. Let's get into what's happening on this Friday. You're looking at our enhanced satellite imagery, your live lightning data as well. And again, if you've noticed, we have shifted our active weather from the eastern side of the Caribbean into the western and northwestern sides here. Now, again, it's a steamy day across the area when you're not seeing the rain. These are your actual air temperatures right now, which in Fahrenheit are upper 80s, low mid 90s, and even some triple digit heat from time to time. Only a couple of areas enjoying some cooler weather. Bermuda today, right around 80 for the daytime high. We'll look at the feels like temperatures coming up in just a bit as well. But the next thing I want to look at here is we'll go from our enhanced satellite imagery to our water vapor imagery. And again, we're watching a tropical wave move through the western Atlantic. We still have this broad spin. And again, what's the bottom line? It's bringing in deeper tropical moisture to our western areas that desperately need the rain. And that's where we'll get started here on this Friday afternoon. So let's get into some of the spots that are seeing some of that. Now, for my friends in Belize, man, oh man, if you live along the coast, first of all, we had some storms earlier today, San Pedro, Belize City, Dangrija. Those storms unfortunately are moving away from the mainland, but there are additional isolated showers and storms developing over places like San Ignacio, Belmopan, and areas just to the north, kind of in between San Ignacio and Orange Walk. But we're going to get you guys, again, better opportunities, and that's the best that I can do. We're not talking about drought-busting rains in a couple of days, but we are talking about better rain chances, hopefully to tamper the fire threat, to dampen the fire threat, and to also, of course, give you guys some desperately needed rain in the area as well. So this will continue to be the trend. It's great to see some more storms developing this afternoon, and overall, rain chances in this area will remain higher as this surge of tropical moisture comes in. And it's really across all of Central America. Places in Honduras that need the rain, starting to see those storms again. They're still scattered in nature, but this huge plume, and this is a nasty area right now of heavy rain and storms, is trying to drift off towards the east, trying to get closer to places like Grand Cayman. Now, they've slipped just as far north as Cozumel. Cancun, though, is still relatively dry. We've had a few passing showers and storms over the Grand Cayman area. Georgetown has had a little bit of shower activity. Little Cayman, Cayman Brac, again, scattered showers there, but what's off towards your west, we'll see how it plays out, could be additional heavy rain. These are the areas that are really going to be in it the next several days. High chances for rain, high chances for some heavier rain as well. It's been raining fairly consistently across Jamaica. Many of you have commented in the section below that the rain continued overnight, and this trend will continue. Again, it may not be an all-day rain, but we'll have relatively cloudy conditions from time to time. Now look, when it's not raining, it gets hot out there. Feels like temperatures here in Montego Bay hitting 102 degrees. So it is steamy with the cloud coverage and when you don't get the showers, but additional rain moving back into the island as we speak from west to east. But the entire island will continue to see that opportunity. Again, our friends in Jamaica are really into this, moisture-laden air, and the scattered showers and storms will continue across the area. Now, as we go farther off towards the east, we're going to start to dry out. Still going to be some rain in portions of the Dominican Republic and Haiti for today. Feels like numbers again, when it's not raining, well above 100 degrees Fahrenheit. 110 gets you to about 43.3 degrees Celsius. And look at Samana's feels like temperature here as we get into the afternoon hours, 117 degrees Fahrenheit. We're popping off some of those storms over Puerto Plata near Santiago de los Caballeros and a few isolated showers back down towards the coastline as well. But it's a drier day overall across the Dominican Republic, and that trend is going to continue. Up the road to the Turks and the Caicos, storms there towards Cockburn Town, a few more showers over eastern Cuba will try and slip on by. This huge Puma storms will be working its way off towards the east. Now, it's not going to disturb Bermuda. Bermuda is too far to the north. They might get a few clouds out of this, but this ball of heavy activity will be moving into the open waters of the Atlantic. So let's swing on over to Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands right now. Oh, okay, here's the bottom line for this area. When we're not getting the storms, you're going to have a heat advisory. It is exceptionally hot today in places like St. Croix and then across all of the coastal areas of Puerto Rico where they have an excessive heat warning in effect right now. Ponce feels like temperature 103, San Juan above 100, Fajardo in at 105, even Road Town there in the British Virgin Islands about 102 or so for a feels like number. An isolated shower is possible, but we're beginning to dry out in this area. There's also a little bit of dust coming back into play as well. It's the same situation for the northern side of the Leeward Islands as well, where we're not going to have a lot of rain the next couple of afternoons. So it is going to get very, very steamy. You'll consider yourselves very lucky if you catch an isolated shower. Look at these feels like numbers. Anguilla about 105, St. Martin about 105 to 108. It's nasty, guys. There's no doubt about it. Nevis, St. Kitts, well over 100. Antigua, again, pushing 100. Montserrat, 102. It's going to be the same scenario, guys, when we go down this list here. Guadalupe, Dominica, anywhere above 100 to 105. So you're getting into the upper 30s Celsius to right around 40 degrees Celsius with these feels like temperatures. It's quite rough out there. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, our friends in Barbados, where the ICC T20 cricket tournament continues. By the way, USA beat Pakistan. That is an incredible upset there. Hope you guys are enjoying the cricket tournament. But again, it's rough. Feels like temperatures right around 100 degrees. And we're going to continue to see very, very stifling conditions here in portions of the Windward Islands as well. Now, why is it going to stay active for this area? I'm monitoring our next tropical wave. This one moves in late Sunday and into Monday, and I'll have more on that coming up. But until it arrives, it's going to stay hot and it's going to stay mainly dry. Again, a passing shower at best. I wish we could be talking about a passing shower for Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao, because even that might be overstating the chance for rain that they're going to get. Feels like temperatures, again, well above 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And it's a very dry forecast here. We're going to have some breeze, guys, but that's going to be about it. Up the road to our friends in the Bahamas, scattered showers continue to break out here. And this will continue to be the trend. Let me just zoom out a little bit here. Again, the moisture is more numerous in nature. It's just basically more concentrated in the central and the southeast side of the Bahamas, but we are seeing some storms coming off of the Florida East Coast as well. So let's bring on our radar here and we'll take a look at that for you guys. And again, that's the live look to our radar on this Friday afternoon. Few storms in an isolated nature. Now look, some of this activity off the Florida East Coast could work its way towards Bimini and Grand Bahama. The general consensus, I believe, is that those storms will be dying out, and it's more about the localized activity, meaning that these storms are basically going to have to develop over your head if you're going to get them. We've caught a couple of those storms over places like Freeport and Lucaya for today, just north of Walker's Key, an isolated shower over Bimini. We've had a few storms today over Andros, little shower near New Providence, and again, just kind of drifting over the island, but dying out as it did so, but a little bit of rain there. Relatively dry for Abaco and Eleuthera and Exuma and Cat Island at the hour. But again, farther off towards the south and east, we're going to get additional showers in those areas. But it's more scattered in nature for what we're going to see in the Bahamas. So that's what's happening right now. Let me go back. I didn't want to hit that just yet. Well, I want to look at the GFS model, and then we'll get into the island by island forecast. So sorry about that. As I get into the models, again, if you haven't liked the video, thank you so much for doing so. And if you want the latest forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas, you found your home here at Meteo Mundo. Thank you so much for clicking that subscribe button right now. I certainly appreciate you guys. All right, so let me set the models up here. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at the GFS and the NAM models over the next few days. Then we're going to get into the extended forecast and have a lot more on this spin in the Western Caribbean and how we actually are going to really have a different forecast between our eastern areas compared to our western areas over the next 7 days. So we're going to start off with the active weather here, guys. And again, on the GFS model, we continue to see a broad circulation. Disturbance, yes. Is it going to more than likely develop into anything more than that? More than likely, no, but it is something to monitor because this is going to be so slow moving. This is over the next 5 days, and you generally see that this rain doesn't really move much. The Northwest Caribbean is going to be wet. That is great news for our friends in Central America, even up towards the Yucatan, where we're at least going to have shower and storm chances in the forecast over the next 5 days. It doesn't mean you're going to get rain every day, but the chances are higher than what we've had in quite some time in places like Belize and Honduras and Guatemala and Cancun and Cozumel and the Cayman Islands. The Cayman Islands could get very, very wet here over the next 5 days. So our friends here, again, you're just deep into that moisture that's not going anywhere. And you can just see how active the forecast is. Nothing is very concentrated, but each and every afternoon with the heat of the day, we're going to fire off scattered showers and storms. We're going to get some lift in the atmosphere. We're going to get some rain out of this. It's the same scenario for Jamaica. Again, maybe not as much in the way of the amount of rain as areas to the west, but there are still high rain chances for Montego Bay and Kingston and Savannah Lamar and our friends in Ocho Rios and Maypen and Port Moore and Spanish Town. It's the entire island. I'm not really favoring any one spot. Sure, we're going to have pockets of heavier rain. Isolated flash flooding is still possible. Be aware of that in some low-lying areas as well. Something I'll monitor, but again, rain chances will remain high. And a lot of you are saying, look, I don't mind that, because again, when it's not raining right now, it is stiflingly hot. These scattered showers and storms will move across Cuba. We're going to have some rain over the next few days for the Turks and the Caicos. Might begin to dry out just a touch as we get into early next week. You notice that as we get into Monday and Tuesday, we're not going to have as much rain over the area. It's going to be a little bit more concentrated off towards the west. And then you get into places that have been so wet the last few weeks, and now we're going to get into a drier trend. There'll be some scattered showers for the remainder of today, as I've already shown you here in the Dominican Republic and Haiti. But starting tomorrow, it's going to get a lot more isolated in nature. Still a few scattered showers and storms in the afternoon hours, but not nearly as much. Your rain chances for Santo Domingo and Punta Cana are going to go way, way down. So if you're looking for some drier weather out there, maybe if you're doing some boating or have some interest outside, it's going to be drier. That may not be what you want, but that's what's going to be happening. And it's the same scenario for Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands as well. We're going to have a little bit of dust. So there'll be a little bit of haze in the sky. There's a ridge of high pressure building in. It's just a drier forecast overall. About a 20% chance for rain in the afternoon hours. And that's going to be about it for these areas and for the remainder of the Lesser Antilles, Sands, an area I'm going to talk about in a second. So here's how this breaks down. And I want to just kind of play this out again. In this area, Guadeloupe North, you notice over the next few days, there's hardly anything. As we get into Monday, here comes our next tropical wave. Now, areas this far north are not going to be impacted as greatly, but rain chances will start to go up Monday and into Tuesday across all of the islands. So by Tuesday afternoon, more scattered downpours of a tropical nature for Barbuda and Antigua and St. Kitts and Nevis, Montserrat, Guadeloupe, even areas up towards Anguilla. But generally speaking, the farther south you go in the island chain, because that tropical wave is going to be tracking pretty low latitude, the farther south that you go, the higher the rain chances. Really starting from Dominica South, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Barbados, Grenada, Trinidad, and Tobago as well. Now, Trinidad especially and Tobago have the opportunity for a little bit more rain over the weekend. Okay, there's a surge of moisture that'll be slipping through the southern side of the island chain. And again, you notice it really is just those areas here over the weekend that could catch a passing shower or a storm. Barbados, I think, is basically dry, 20% chance. Grenada, maybe a 20 to a 30% chance. That's it. Then the next tropical wave comes in, and when I zoom out, you can see that. And this is going to be a very progressive wave. Okay, it's going to be moving very quickly through, but a pretty good rain chance Monday and into Tuesday. But it's going to be moving fast enough, and I'm going to show you this in the extended, where this tropical wave is going to be able to slam into all of this moisture in the Northwest Caribbean and aid in the development of even a larger plume of moisture coming in, because this is not moving much over the next 5 days, guys. I've already kind of shown you that, but in the broad perspective here, and again, we want to talk about what's happening in Central America, you can see that these scattered rain chances will continue, and chef's kiss, I love to see rain in this area. Again, is it drought busting rain? More than likely not, but it is the best opportunity we've had in these areas for quite some time. Absolutely, we'll take it, and just look how moisture fed this area is. This entire region is going to be very, very wet. And eventually this is going to kick to the north, and that's the next part of the forecast that we're going to get into in the extended. But in the meantime, over the next 5 days, it actually becomes a little bit drier through the Bahamas. And then it's all about where that moisture tracks. But again, still a little bit higher chance in the southeast side of those islands. So let's break it down for you here. Now we'll look at your rain chances. This is the wet board, okay? These are your wetter areas. Jamaica, again, might be a little bit more scattered Saturday and Sunday, but still it's a 60% chance. And again, fairly wet for the remainder of this Friday. The Bahamas, 40 to a 50% chance during our weekend ahead. Turks and Caicos, going to keep it a pretty high 70% chance. Good downpours likely in those areas. The Dominican Republic begins to dry out down to a 30% chance on Saturday and Sunday. Cayman Islands, very wet. I was tempted to put 100% in every day. We're going to be close to that, all of that moisture in your area. Belize City, nice numbers, 40% chance the remainder of today and tomorrow, and then even up to a 60% chance on Sunday. Cancun and Cozumel, it's the best we've had in a while. I do expect it to go up from here, better rain chances into early next week. Now we get into our dry areas. Puerto Rico, 20% chance for showers. Very, very hot. Look for a heat advisory or even an excessive heat warning through Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands through the weekend ahead. It's going to be really hot out, guys. Make sure you take your precautions. Bermuda, an isolated shower is possible, but they're enjoying some nice weather there. Breezy, but not a lot of rain. St. Kitts and Nevis, only about a 20% chance for showers. Same thing for Barbados. There's your slightly higher rain chances in Trinidad and Tobago. Again, got to get that far south, though. In the ABC Islands, again, I might be optimistic to put in that 10% chance for rain. Let's talk about the wave heights and directions here over the weekend and into next week. I'll get off camera real quick. Again, we're going to stay with our easterlies, but look how fresh the winds are in the Pacific and look at those waves. And part of that is just a confluence of wind coming in right over Central America. That's aiding into lift, but it's also kicking up the sea conditions there. Even towards Bermuda, we're going to be fine. Again, wave heights, nothing really stands out, to be quite honest, for us here. And even the easterlies behind this next tropical wave are forecast to come back down a little bit as well. So overall, not expecting there to be any huge significant wave heights as we move over the next 7 days. Okay, now let's get into the extended forecast. First thing I want to do before we even show you the model here, I just want to get back to this look. And again, I want to take a look at the water vapor imagery here. It's very clear to see that, first of all, there's an abundant amount of moisture, but there's a little bit of spin in the atmosphere. It's not fantastic. That's the upper levels of the atmosphere. There's the mid levels of the atmosphere, and here are the low levels of the atmosphere with the water vapor imagery. But there's an abundant amount of moisture. Again, those are some nasty storms there in the Northwest Caribbean, but that twist is going to continue to aid in the lift in this area, and these storms are going to continue to develop each and every afternoon. So let's extend this out. I forgot that I didn't show you the NAM. So before we do that, just real quickly, because I want to make sure I cover everything that I promised I was going to cover, the NAM model over the shorter term weekend, just real quickly, guys, it's a sloppier system. It kind of tends to be. It actually extends this rain a little bit farther off towards the east, but they're in pretty good agreement. And the European model is about the same as well here. So this is the NAM, very sloppy. Again, nothing is concentrated. whatever broad spin there is hundreds of miles wide, but some of that rain does extend a little bit farther off towards the east in the NAM. I don't know if that's going to be the case. I'll monitor it. I believe the GFS is a little bit more here, just having it more concentrated in the northwest. But just wanted to show you again some of the things that I look at. It does also try and nudge in a little bit more moisture into Monday to areas to the north. So that's something I'm going to be monitoring. Okay, let's get back to the GFS and move into our extended forecast here. So I'm going to take this out about a week or a little bit more here. It's going to take just a second to load up, but this is going to tell the tale of why we're going to stay active. And I'm going to broaden this out because look, there is going to be two halves to this story. The first half is going to be from Hispaniola east and a overall drier forecast over the next week ahead. Sans watching additional tropical waves move in, okay? But the areas that have been exceptionally dry for May into early June are now the areas that are going to be wetter, and that is our western and our northwest areas with this very slow moving tropical wave and basically just a broad circulation here again. So the GFS model in the extended does take this into the eastern Gulf of Mexico, okay? And I've been watching these runs here for the last several days. You notice there's a little bit of twist here in the eastern side of the Gulf of Mexico, and I'm going to show you a few things coming up. Now, the first thing is it's going to be fighting some drier air off towards the west, which means that the wetter side is, of course, going to be on the east side, which would include the Bahamas and obviously a lot of Florida as well, Cuba, the Cayman Islands, and Jamaica. Those areas here on the GFS will continue to be very wet as this moisture plume coming from the south feeds in. And again, drier air off towards the western side. So these are the areas that could see some very heavy rainfall for the week ahead. Very sloppy system, flooding rains are a possibility because of the slow movement that is projected with this. When I bring on, that's the, of course, look at the rain. When I bring on the, we're going to look at the vorticity here, and I like to show you this, guys, because again, it shows us spin in the atmosphere. It's not at the surface, but again, when we can see this spin, that's lifting air, and that's going to take all of that deep tropical moisture that's in play, and it's going to lift it up, and it's going to continue to provide shower chances in this area. So that's what this product is showing you here. This is called the absolute vorticity. And you can see as we get a little bit deeper into the forecast here, as this emerges into the south central Gulf of Mexico, it's going to pick up a little bit more juice. And we can see a little bit more in the way of some very broad spin. You can see that. It's very clear to see, okay? But there's a little bit more dry air. Now, is this definitely not going to become anything? No. But right now, nothing that I've seen says, hey, this is going to be a stronger storm to look out for the southeast United States. But that being said, and we do have a lot of folks who watch us in the United States and Florida. That being said, it is going to turn a lot wetter mid to late next week for Florida and more than likely for portions of the Bahamas as well. It's something I'll be closely monitoring here because we could be talking about a lot of rain, several inches of rain, more than a half foot maybe in a couple of spots. So you get the idea. But in the shorter term, again, Central America, the Cayman Islands, even back towards Jamaica. Let's take a look at the 10-meter winds. So this is going to be basically a surface reflection of the winds as well. Going to let that loop up. First of all, again, even the easterlies begin to weaken a bit through the Lesser Antilles. And so wind shear now begins to be reduced as well. I think we're going to start trending into a much more active pattern as these tropical waves move in. The other thing about the tropical waves is they're beginning to lift in latitude, all right? A lot of that moisture has been moving into South America lately. Now they're going to start to lift north in latitude and have a much more direct impact on the Lesser Antilles, especially down towards the Windward Islands, coming up starting late next week. Not this next one coming in, but the one after that. And again, there's more tropical waves out there than what we typically see in June. But on this GFS model, you can see there's a little bit of drier air here. There's a very broad twist, but we could have some very, heavy tropical downpours and breezes throughout Florida and the Bahamas and Cuba and the Cayman Islands and portions of Jamaica as well. There you can see that again. Nothing's really quite spun up in that, but that's what we're going to be looking at. Now, the European model is right in line with this as well. Again, the chance of a tropical depression over the next 3 days. It's really focused in on portions of South America and trying to drift something out into the Southwest Caribbean, but that really hasn't happened. But you notice that right over Central America, Belize, and the Yucatan, in Guatemala, areas like that, that's where it's focused in on, okay? Now, again, more than likely not going to develop because that low is trying to develop over land. But for model consistency, that's where the European model is trying to bring an area of low pressure. And on Monday, this is the GFS pressure plots, and they're right in agreement, okay? So that broad cyclonic twist will continue. And then the question is, as it moves north into the Gulf of Mexico, what's going to happen there? I think the highest chance is this becomes just a very wet, sloppy rainmaker as it moves up into the Gulf. But you can see that both the GFS and the European model try and bring in some area of low pressure into portions of Central America. So that's what it looks like there. How about the amount of rain that we could see? All right. This is, again, just over the next 5 days. All right. So on the GFS model, look at what's going to be happening here in the Northwest Caribbean. These are widespread, very significant rainfall totals. So take a look at this. Near the Cayman Islands, there's Little Cayman, Cayman Brac, on over towards Georgetown, 3, 4, 5, 6+ inches of rain. Again, we don't look at one spot, but we average this. Very hefty rainfall totals, maybe 3 to 8 in a couple of spots there. That's kind of the big bullseye, if you will. But it's great to see places like Cancun and Cozumel getting in on the act. It would be fantastic to see some of these numbers here in portions of Belize. Again, I don't want to sit here and be like, oh my God, here we go. We're going to get 5 inches of rain in San Ignacio and Beaumont. But when we average this out, if we could pick up a few inches of rain in Belize over the next few days, that's going to do our friends there a world of good. Very heavy rain is possible through portions of Honduras as well. And again, just kind of taking a look at a couple of spots, Roatan, a little weak area there. I'm not really sure why. The very interesting thing about this is the GFS has this less rain here, and I promise you, I'll show you the European, it's got it as well. I'm not really sure what they're trying to pick up on there. It could be just where that kind of center of broad spin is, but I'm not really sure that's going to verify. I hope Roatan gets a little bit more rain than that. And again, you can see not as much rain for portions of Jamaica, but we're still going to have the opportunity for a few inches of rain. But again, you guys are going to be just east of that highest moisture. It's very clear to see. And again, the farther east that we go, the less rain we're going to see. Still doesn't mean we're going to get some scattered showers, but the areas that have been inundated in the heavy rain aren't going to get it, guys. We're going to see a lot drier forecast here over the next 5 days. As I've mentioned, you get south enough into Trinidad and Tobago, and with this next tropical wave, and this does include the rain coming in with the next tropical wave, could be a few more inches of rain there. Barbados, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, St. Lucia, maybe around another inch. But again, a lot of that will not be moving in until Monday. It's a relatively dry forecast there. Sorry, guys. ABC Islands, man, oh man, oh man. I mean, if we catch a spotty shower, we'll consider ourselves lucky, but please be very cautious of the heat in this area. Nothing as far as rain to really break that out. Notice again, as we get up towards Bermuda, not a lot of rain in this area. They could catch a couple of showers, but there's really two systems. One, mid-latitude cyclone misses Bermuda to the north. The other, excessive heavy rain misses Bermuda off towards the south. Generally speaking, they're going to have some really comfortable conditions there. And again, scattered showers through portions of the Bahamas. Nothing very concentrated there at all. But that's the overall look from the GFS model, okay? We can see where that concentration of rain is. Now, the European model, we can see where the concentration of rain is. And again, the biggest thing I want to talk about is we're drier in the areas where it's been wet, and now we're wetter in the areas that have been dry. And again, that's going to be our far western areas. And you notice the European model is very much in agreement with the GFS as the track of that heaviest rain into the eastern Gulf of Mexico. And again, the reds are at least 75 millimeters of rain, as 3 inches of rain or higher. It's a huge swath, 4, 5, 6 inches of rain, absolutely possible. And they have even heavier amounts into the eastern Pacific. But notice again, the track of the heaviest rain goes along with the GFS. So our two main global models are in agreement, first of all, with this spin continuing over Central America, a very slow movement to everything as well, and then tracking some of that heaviest rain into the eastern Gulf of Mexico. One more thing I wanted to show you guys real quickly here. If I go back out to this extended view and I bring back on the reflectivity, I mentioned it very briefly, but I want to show you this here, that you're going to see this next tropical wave come in here, and it's going to actually catch up with all of this moisture coming in. So you want to talk about having a feed of moisture from the south. Watch this next tropical wave come in right here. Here it comes, and then it's going to move fast enough where it begins to stream into everything else still going on here. So this is only going to support the heavy rainfall potential in the western areas. It's a very progressive forecast in our eastern areas, meaning these waves are moving by very quickly, and then everything slows up as we get into our western areas here. Certainly something to keep an eye on very closely as we move into the weekend. You can follow us through all of social media, guys. We're on Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook. Send me a picture or video at mymeteomundo@gmail.com. Thank you so much for liking this video. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for becoming a member. You can click that join button for 99 cents a month and help support me here at Meteo Mundo. And thank you for all those that have done that and have found other ways like the super things to support me and the channel as well. Friends, have a great rest of your Friday, and I'll see you tomorrow right here at Meteo Mundo.